Hello everyone, this is part 34 of What If Naruto Learned the Secret of Shadow Clone, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
If Naruto was learning anything, it was that Taki was as a village very traditional and isolationist. Fu had gotten him up earlier, excited to show her friend around. From the impressive waterfall and great lake that fed it, to the massive shelter tree around which the village was built. Now they were wandering through the market, Fu having to stock up for the week on provisions while Naruto was carrying her bag. Watching the eternally cheerful and bubbly Fu bounce from vendor to vendor, Naruto considers this a good vacation. Sure, she wasn't venting her frustrations out on Danzo, but Fu was entertaining and fun to watch. Fu came back towards her with a carton of eggs and carefully placed them in the bag before dragging Naruto along by the hand to their next destination. Come on, I wanna take you to the lake and see if maybe we can spot a few of the super pretty fish there. Our water is special, so the fish get these really vibrant colors and sometimes get super big. Chuckling, Naruto lets the excited girl drag her along. Don't worry, I'm not leaving yet, don't have to drag me. Offering only a token resistance, Naruto couldn't help but see the scornful looks that the villagers passed Fu's way. Certainly not like Konoha, at least there the villagers took to ignoring him, versus this open hatred. Hey, Jinchuriki certainly did have universal experiences, didn't they? Fu was above it all, internally jumping for joy and dancing for all she was worth. She had a friend. Someone who understood her. Someone who actually wanted to get to know her. It was a dream come true. Looking back at the bright blonde with the black cat personality, Fu marveled a bit at her. She seemed too confident, so aloof and so daring. Her t-shirt had been so dirty, so today she strutted around in her orange bikini top under her black jacket and black pants. So much skin was showing. Fu didn't know where to look, so instead she aggressively focused on the village. Anything else than the nosebleed-inducing blonde at her side. Naruto was curious about something as she watched the dusky-skinned girl trot along with a smile on her face. Fu-chan, why don't you wear ninja sandals? Embarrassed a bit, Fu chuckled nervously and tried to wave it away. Oh, they're so heavy when flying, so I'd just rather not wear them. Imagine all of the sandals I'd have to replace when I took them off every time I had to go flying, right? It'd be such a waste. Unsaid, of course, was that she was never able to buy proper footwear. Sure, the villagers tolerated her enough to buy food and some clothes, but that was it. The less time she spent in the village, the better. Naruto figured out the real reason fast enough and decided then and there to pay the local supply store a visit later tonight. Got it. So long as you're comfortable, I guess. More like someone needed to be eviscerated. Naruto gave thanks that at least her friend was allowed to walk about and buy what she needed without being cheated. That was a small plus. Walking along as they were and making their way out of the market district, they had to pass through an area with a few bars and eateries to make it to the lake. This of course put them in contact with more of the ninja population, and Naruto could already tell by Fu's hurried steps that she wanted to be through and out of here quickly. It wasn't meant to be, as a pair of dark-dressed Taki nin barred their paths. Both men were nearly identical, dark-haired and dusky-skinned and moderately muscled. That they were glaring openly at Fu while ignoring Naruto said something the other girl didn't like and set the hair on the back of her neck rising. Well, look who it is. Little insect has caught someone new in her web, I see. You really think we'd let you get away with corrupting someone in our presence? Bro's right, she's obviously an outsider, don't taint their perception with your wretched existence. Let her go, bug. Nervous and bringing a hand up to clinch it to her chest, Fu backed away slightly while her grip on Naruto's hand tightened. I'm not doing anything wrong. Could you just let us pass? You hear that? She thinks she can talk back to us. Bug thinks her opinion matters. Shibuki-sama is too soft on ya, so we'll have to beat some sense into you, I think. Fu shook her head quickly, taking another step back. I don't think that's a good idea. We really should be going. Naruto was beyond confused why Fu put up with this. She was obviously much stronger than these idiots, and with none of the cowards around them willing to help or intervene, she should just smash them into the ground and be done with it. Welp, Naruko-sama was here to do just that. Airhead-chan would thank her later. Gently pulling the other girl by the hand behind her and passing off the bag of groceries to her and getting a squeak in response, Naruko turned a glare on the suddenly confused men. Welp, their ignorance wouldn't save them. You know, don't you think she can decide for herself who she befriends or not? Or don't worry about her. We treat her like that because we're supposed to. Yeah, cutie, it's good for her. Naruko raised a delicate eyebrow. You really believe that? Of course. Here one man nudged the other in the shoulder, leering at Naruko, say. Maybe we could explain this better over a drink. Come join us, leave that bug girl alone. Yeah, we can teach you all about how Taki operates. Looking the busty blonde up and down, he had his own thoughts on just what he'd like to see her operate. Sighing and shaking her head, Naruko was reminded on why Naruto built the Oryoke Jutsu so long ago. Perverts were idiots and exposing them was always worth it. Listen, I'm only going to say this once. Eyes shining and turning blood red and slitting like a cat's, she made sure to keep her eyes focused on them and out of sight of Fu. Hating Fu is the same as hating me, get it? So unless you want me to start getting stabby, I suggest you leave her alone. Tightly directing more than a little killing intent their way, a wide grin full of sharp teeth grew on her face. Your choice. Suddenly sweating and wanting to be anywhere else except in front of the apparent monster girl, both men suddenly turned the opposite direction. Why you're right. We have somewhere to be, later. And then they were gone, nearly sprinting to parts unknown while Naruko sighed and released her chakra. Fucking cowards never could stand up against some real power. Turning a more kind grin Fu's way, the protective girl nodded. So, should we go? Subtly she realized that she burned through a small chunk of her remaining chakra, but the gentle part of her decided it was well worth it. Fu couldn't help but have stars in her eyes as she nodded dumbly and Naruko tugged her along towards the lake. Hand warm in her own, it was the first time in a long time that she could remember anyone being protective of her. Feeling flush and fidgety, Fu squeezed Naruko's hand. Na-chan. Naruko could only grin as she glared at anyone who even thought to look their way. What's up, Airhead-chan? Moo. I'm not an airhead. Shaking their combined hands, Fu indignantly puffed out her cheeks. Sure look like one with your cheeks puffed out like that. You're so mean, Na-chan. Fu watched as Naruko laughed and a smile lit up her face. She was sure this was the first time she had seen the other girl smile so genuinely. It made her heart pound. I don't want you to get in trouble, Na-chan. Naruko shook her head as they continued on, deciding this was more than a little fun. I'll be alright. You know you shouldn't let assholes like that push you around. I know. I just. Well, you know, right. Naruko couldn't help but nod. Yeah. I do. Stupid Naruto and his super wide forgiveness streak. At least she didn't have that. But that's why I'm here now. You're my best friend, so I gotta look out for ya. Assholes like that deserve to eat an exploding note. Giggling at Naruko's description, Fu nodded. That's right. Yeah. Giggling some more and pulling ahead to lead the way, she pulled Naruko into the air as her wings formed at her lower back and spread wide. Come on. I wanna show you somewhere special. Naruko settled into being pulled into the air and weaving air currents around her to keep up behind her friend and smiled. So, this was what caring for someone was like. It was odd. So many mixed emotions. Protectiveness, jealousy, anger, hate, lust, love. It was all so intoxicating. She didn't want it to end. Soaring above the village and for once really not caring what the villagers might think of her, Fu led the way into the high branches of the massive tree that protected them all. Settling them both into a tight spot that gave a view of the village and the lake, and just a sliver of the land of fire forests in the distance, Fu sighed and crossed her legs on a tree branch. Naruko decided to sit next to her, joining her in watching the view and waiting patiently for whatever it was Fu wanted to tell her, getting a feeling that this was about more than just sharing a view. Fu goes quiet, twiddling her thumbs as she considers what to say to her new friend. You know, yesterday you said that if I wanted to meet other Jinchuriki, I should leave the village, right? Naruko nodded slowly, idly taking a peach from the grocery bag and beginning to munch on it. That's right. This was very sweet. Fu thought about it. Really thought about it. Could she be as amazing and strong as Naruko apparently was? Sure, she was powerful as a ninja and had a biju inside her, but she was nothing like the strong-willed girl. I want to, you know. I want to fly away. To soar through the sky from place to place. I want to meet new people. Explore anywhere and everywhere that I can reach. But Naruto sees the pause for what it is and waves a hand out over the village. This is all you've ever known. It's scary, thinking that you could leave. Naruto does understand that. This was the nest, her home, and no one had ever kicked her out and forced her to fly. Naruto got that, even if it was by explosion. Only thing really stopping you is you. I know. Answer instant, Fu looking down into the tree bark and began tracing a finger along rough lines and textures. How do you do it? Naruto shrugged, by following what is important. Which was her desires. To her, her life was most important. Being so fleeting and not know when her end would come, she had to do everything her heart desired. Something in her almost seemed to flinch at that, while another was angry, at herself. Maybe. Yeah, probably. Why though? Fu however took it a different way. Following what is important, huh? And what was important? Naruto had defended her against those guys earlier. So did she mean protecting her friends? Following her heart? She'd have to think on it some. I'm glad. Fu turned shining eyes to the surprised Naruto. I'm glad you came. I'm glad we met. You're really special, I think, Na-chan. All of her flinched mentally at the naked affection on the other girl's face. Oh, that was guilt. What an ugly emotion. She didn't like that at all. Bashful herself. Naruto sighed and decided Fu deserved the truth. She really was like a lost puppy. I gotta explain some things to you, okay? Fu waved her hands quickly. It's okay. You're my friend, you don't have to explain anything if it'll get you in trouble. Chuckling and shaking her head, Naruto held eye contact with the worried Fu. I won't get into any trouble. I'd have to be human to have to worry about that. Seeing the confusion on Fu's face hurt, but Naruto powered through it. Be like Naruto, she told herself. I'm actually really not human. Like at all. I started out as a shadow clone of the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox. But, somewhere along the way, I changed. I'm sorta my own person, but I'm a mix of things as well. I'm him, but not. Sure, I can eat and breathe and feel and be completely independent. Boo. Here she looks away, not ready to see the betrayal on the other girl's face. I was made to torture and maim a really bad guy. And after that I was supposed to dispel. But I had an idea. A small dream. As long as my independence lasted, I wanted to see as much of the world as I could. To explore and make friends and experience everything that I could. Love and hate, petty fights and great triumphs. Looking out over the village that didn't know what a good person they were treating like shit, she wondered if she had enough time to leave a little present for them before she faded away. I'm sure if you went to Azushio. My creator Naruto would love to meet you. He'd be your bestest friend ever and show you how great humans can be, and he'd get to stay. Naruto really looked away now, turning her head away from Fu. He wouldn't eventually fade away, not like me. Just some mistake, some abomination, not a real person. Absolutely not. Angry, Fu reached forward and pulled Naruto back around to face her, eyes shining with tears. You can't say things like that about yourself. You're real. I think you're real. Look. Here she held up their hands, clasped together and fingers intertwined. You can touch me, right? You feel and love and hate and think and all those things, right? Who gets to say whether you're real or not but you? And you can't say that you aren't real, because I won't have it. Fu hiccuped once and held onto the astonished clone's hands tightly. You're my bestest friend, not your creator, or brother or whatever he is to you. So you can't leave me, you're staying and we're going to go on adventures and you're going to learn everything about me and I'm going to learn everything about you and. Naruto couldn't help the soft smile that began to grace her face as her friend hiccuped and sobbed in front of her. Sorry. Don't apologize. Crying out right now, Fu was frustrated that she couldn't articulate her feelings properly to her friend. I'm sure Naruto is great if you're based off of him, but you are you. If you want me to meet him, we're going together. Going together, huh? Naruto felt within herself, I doubt I have the chakra left to make that trip. Shaking her head and wiping her tears away, Fu gained a determined look on her face. What do you mean? Thinking about it quickly, the ninja side of her tackled the problem in an instant. Right. You were a clone at first, you can't generate chakra. Bingo. Fu smiled brightly and chakra began to coat her form, then take some of mine. Blinking, Naruto wondered if that would even work. Would that make her a chakra parasite then? Was she a vampire? Don't know if that'll work. You eat things and gain chakra from them, right? That's why you can eat so much and it goes nowhere, right? Yeah, pretty much. Fu nodded and spread her arms wide, then eat me. Snorting, Naruto couldn't help the laugh that escaped her. I think you could have worded that better. Blushing heavily and waving her hands quickly, Fu tried to stop her friend from laughing at her. My chakra. I meant my chakra. Thinking about it though, Fu looked away. I mean, unless you want to do the other thing. Naruto watched the other girl carefully. I don't know, okay. Fu pulled Naruto into a hug, careful not to squeeze her too tightly and conscious of hurting or damaging her. You're the first person I've ever had these emotions for. I don't know what to do with them. But, I know I want to help you. And if you don't have a lot of time left, then I want you to experience everything that you want to experience before you go. Feeling out and confirming that it wasn't as easy as just absorbing Fu's chakra, though again some part of her raged that she should be able to do so, Naruto sighed and pushed away from Fu by her shoulders. Yeah, eating your chakra isn't going to work. Fu nodded and grabbed her bag to shove it into Naruto's arms. Then we're going home. Picking up the surprised girl in her arms, she began flying back to her treehouse. I'm going to make you a big meal, and then we're going to have as much fun as we can before you have to leave. Eyes shining but holding strong in the face of her friend, Fu grinned, and if you do fade away, I'll go to Rizushio and hunt down your brother and I'll make him summon clones until he summons you again. I have no doubt you'll come back and we can go on more and more adventures, together. Racing above the sky, Fu was determined to make sure her newest friend had as much of a life as she could have. Deciding then and there that Fu was insane, Naruto couldn't help the throaty laugh that bubbled free. You sure do love hard, don't you, Airhead-chan? That's right, Na-chan. Get used to it. God, you and Naruto are going to get along perfectly. Great. I'd like your brother's approval so we can be together for as long as possible. You've just decided all on your own he's my brother. Couldn't he technically be my father? Nope. I like the idea of brother, you're technically the same age. Shoving the conversation aside, Naruto relaxed in Fu's grip and enjoyed the ride. The flighty insect girl was absolutely an airhead. A bit crazy, and constantly bubbly and happy. But she was full of other more complex emotions as well, bottling up sadness and hurt and determination and so much more. Well, at least she got to tick finding love off of her list. The voices were a bit judgmental about that, but oh well and screw them. It was her life, not theirs. Office full and desk clear, Naruto makes steady eye contact with everyone present. All of Foxton was in attendance, along with Riptide team. Today was to assign missions and deal out several orders as they prepared to clear their roster so he could leave with less worries than before. Turning to Jugo and his team, Naruto nods to them with a grin. So, we've got a mission passed along from Gaara over in Suna. There's some strife going on between the villages in Claw and Fang. You're to figure it out and smooth relations over with them. Think you can handle that? Jugo bows deeply. Of course, Lord Naruto. Just Naruto Jugo. We're friends. Of course, Lord Naruto. Ass. Chuckling as he tossed the mission scroll to Kin, the group said the goodbyes and left quickly. Hoping as always to finish their mission and return right away. Turning his vision now to Karen and Honoka, Naruto poses a question to the pair. Have you had a chance to meet the Zouzensho clan yet? What do you think of them? They were the pair most interested in future technology and such, so he would leave it to them to check on the industrious clan. Karen hums while Honoka speaks up first. I wouldn't mind seeing if they could bring a couple of designs I've had in mind to life. But, well. Karen points a finger at Naruto. We finally want a break. With you leaving we've decided we need to get some training in and catch back up with everyone. Honoka nodded at the look of relief that passed over Naruto's face. The border golem are performing flawlessly and we've updated the samurai with a minor speech ability. So we're all set there for now. Sounds great. Take some actual time off, please don't train the whole time. Naruto watches both girls look to each other before grinning and refusing to answer him. Damn it. Make us. Karen's eyes held both a promise and a challenge, and Naruto considered if he had the time for it. He'd make it. He always did. Both girls saw that he was done with them and bounded over to the table off to the side where Kayuki and Kotohime were seated together, prodding and gossiping with the daimyo and the music user about how their pregnancies was going. Ino steps forward next with a clipboard held in front of her. We've gotten a report from Wave. Jiraiya is headed this way with Iruka and Anko. Something is going on with Anko apparently. Thoughts and memories surface in Naruto's mind, idly remembering that something had gone on between Orochimaru and the crazy snake woman. Ah, she was his apprentice. Maybe he gave her a curse seal as well. Great, he needed to clear the room quickly then. No biggie, make sure everyone knows to let them in here. I'll take care of it. Hinata pipes up quickly, you have an idea of what they're here for. Did they call ahead? Naruto shook his head, no. Just a hunch is all. Ino grinned, maybe Anko's pregnant and they want to let us know. Hinata wondered about that one, Naruto looking confused about it. Do you really think they would come all the way just to announce that? Iruka would. Naruto sighs, I sure hope that's it. His mind had went instantly to worst case scenario. Maybe he was getting too paranoid. Turning to the speculative Hinata, Naruto leaned back in his chair. Do you have anything to update me on? She had still been acting as his secretary as it also gave her time to study and practice with sealing. No, I've actually been thinking about taking a mission with Ino and Tayuya while we still can. Tayuya jumps on that right away. If I'm going to be stuck behind a desk, it would be fun to go out and do something. She was not built to be stuck in one place like that. She wasn't sure how Naruto could handle it. Naruto shrugs, there are always bounties you can track down. Just stay safe, will ya? We aren't glass whiskers. Ino winks at him as the three girls huddle together and begin planning. Who would they hunt down? An Akatsuki member had been spotted around sooner lately, and another pair near Taki. It was a hard choice. But a single opponent would be easier, most likely. I think we can plan out a good one. We're still clear to hunt down Akatsuki bounties, right? Naruto nods, we aren't allies, and we aren't enemies either. Naruto wasn't sure if they would respond if Uzushio started hunting their numbers. Deidara was of the mind that Pain wouldn't care. If members were weak and got picked off, they deserved it in his mind. Conversation with that explosion expert was always enlightening. Just be careful, all of them are S rank for a reason. More than that, all of them have committed some serious and heinous atrocities. Don't forget that. Naruto nodded at Kurama's advice, they did want me dead too at one point. Exactly. I say hoist them by their entrails. Chuckling and turning to Kayuki as Ino, Hinata and Tayuya head for the door, Naruto grins at her, what are your plans? Going to stay here in Azu? Kayuki nods, yup. Myself and Kotohime are going to stick together and stay in Uzushio with you all the way up until you leave. After that we'll probably head back to Spring, or if Sandayu is finally tired of us getting in the way and being gossiping busybodies we'll move here full time. Well, I will, Kotohime has just been keeping me company. Kotohime can't help but smile at her, we're Prego sisters, we have to experience this together. I personally think it would be good to have all of us under one roof for good. Naruto can't help but nod, rather enjoying the thought of having everyone within reach. I agree. Kayuki rolled her eyes, easily figuring out his mindset, of course you do. Though she wouldn't mind more pampering from her love. Desk buzzing, Naruto reaches over to activate the intercom connected to his secretary's desk. What's up, Kian? The green-haired woman had taken to standing in for Hinata when she was busy. You have Jiraiya-sama or a pair of Leaf Nin here to see you. While her tone had barely changed with mentioning the pair accompanying Jiraiya, Naruto had a feeling about just what the Azu Nin thought of them. Grunting and look around at everyone still hanging around, Naruto nods even if she can't see him. Go ahead and let the pervert in. It'll be good to see Iruka-sensei and Anko. You brat. Jiraiya barged in quickly, fuming and pointing a finger towards him. What have I told you? Use my proper title. Your proper title is super pervert. Exactly. Leaning out from behind the broad man who set to chortling, Iruka waved to his former student, it's great to see you again, Naruto. It was still amazing. The class clown turned cage. And he was apparently doing just fine. It was a relief, really. Getting up and bypassing Jiraiya, Naruto is quick to share a manly hug with Iruka while Anko stood off to the side. Good to see you again, Iruka-sensei. Pulling away and grinning, he hooked a thumb towards the remaining girls who were watching him all quietly. The girls are taking bets. You getting married or is Anko pregnant? Snorting and laughing long and loud, Anko nearly falls to the floor while Iruka shoots her a well-worn and tired look. No Naruto, no pregnancy here. Naruto nods sagely. Ah, so marriage then. Congratulations then. Let's throw a party. Iruka grabbed the boy and started shaking him. We are getting married yet either. Anko looked up towards him from her place on the floor where she was holding her ribs. Yet. Caught and flustered, Iruka pointed a finger towards her. You know what I meant. Don't start. Yes sir. Grinning and more than a little turned on by the authoritative man, Anko was slow to stand and rejoin her love as Naruto couldn't help but laugh and step back to lean against his desk. Well, don't leave me guessing, what's brought you all here? It's a long trip just for a social call. Anko sighs, wanting to be the one to bring it up and motioning to her neck. My seal has been acting up lately. Was hoping you might have some answers for me. Your seal. Great, it was the worst case scenario then. Shit, hold on. Turning to the remaining girls, he motions towards the door. I'm gonna have to get to work and maybe do something dangerous. You'll wanna clear out. Kotohime is the first to stand and smile towards him. Understood, you'll be alright, yes. Naruto nods as all of the girls stand and start making for the door. Absolutely, it's just whatever is left of the snake team. I just don't wanna take chances with you all. Kayuki sighs at the romance of it all. You sweet talker you. You better come find us when you're done. Naruto gives her a thumbs up as they walk through the door. That's a promise, Haim. Getting a wink from her, the door closes and his entire demeanor changes. Eyes serious, he makes a few clones that begin to clear floor space and one unseals a soft rug to lay on the floor. Okay, let's see that seal. Anko nods, shucking Iruka's flak vest enough so that Naruto can see the curse seal at the apex of her neck. It was glowing a sinister purple color, and Naruto couldn't help the frown that deepened on his face. Been like this for a while now. Couldn't remember when it started honestly. It had been extremely painful before Jiraiya had added a containment seal around it, but even that was beginning to be taxed. Naruto however motions to the soft-looking pale blue plush rug. Strip and lay down. We're gonna have to work fast. Feeling like teasing, Anko does however remove and hand over Iruka's flak jacket to him. You move fast kiddo. Don't you wanna buy me dinner first at least? Working on and removing her chainmail bodysuit's upper half she turned to Iruka. Think this could be a birthday present. I get to have you and the little stud all to myself for a day. Seeing neither man respond or look even remotely happy, Anko notes that Naruto is barely paying attention to her and unsealing tools and sealing ink. How bad is it? Do I wanna know? No, you don't. Eyes hard as he turns to see her laying on her front as directed by a clone, Naruto turns to Iruka. Can you hold yourself back from trying to interfere, or should you step out? This could get ugly. Iruka shook his head. I can keep out of the way, but I want to be here, if the worst comes to pass. Iruka is already moving to place himself in a corner, far away from the action. What is the worst case scenario here? Naruto shook his head. I'd rather not bring it up until after we finish. There were many things worse than death. Having your body and soul taken over by a megalomaniac determined to live forever was certainly one of them. Jiraiya looks over his shoulder as he grabs a vial of sealing ink and an ink brush. Anything I can do to help? It was easy to admit that he was nowhere close to being on par with an Uzumaki's seal master, but surely he could still help a little. It is however unfortunate that Naruto has to dispel that hope right away. You might want to be ready to fight off a portion of Orochimaru's soul. Seeing the confusion on Jiraiya's face and everyone else's, Naruto realizes he might have said too much. Welp, couldn't help that now. Walking over and joining Anko on the floor by sitting on her legs, Naruto begins to draw and write all over her back and arms. Well, long story short, I had to fight and kill Orochimaru. But he's got a fail-safe in place. Anyone that has a curse seal on him actually has a portion of his soul tethered to them, in order to revive himself in case someone comes along that can kill him. Like me. Drawing and building a full destruction seal, Naruto is determined to fully remove this curse seal. It was different from Tayuya's, not as advanced. As such, there would be no saving the sections that were supposed to pull in natural chakra or offer a partial transformation. Jiraiya can't help but sigh. hearing the eventual fate of his long-lost teammate. If it helps, he was bound to end up in the dirt eventually. From all his experiments, his heedless pursuit of power and knowledge and all of his atrocities, someone was going to put him down one day. I'm actually glad that it was you. Sighing and nodding to the boy who was focused on his work, Jiraiya makes a note to talk to Tsunade. I'll tell Suheim. Least I can do. Naruto nods without looking, saves me a trip at least. Working and being grateful that Anko's usual attire allowed for a lot of free space, he has plenty of room to draw the intricate seal needed to save her life. Enough of Orochimaru had finally begun to gather within her seal to try and start take over. A few more days and the bastard would have taken her. Anko. Looking over her shoulder at the boy and doing her best not to move even with the ticklish brush running over her skin, the woman offers him a focused amber eye. What's up, kiddo? We're going to have to do this in stages. And it's going to ramp up. It'll go from uncomfortable, to a little painful, to full-on agonizing hell. And I can't stop once I start. Anko only nods in return, turning to face down into the rug. Do what ya gotta do, kid. Anything to rid me of this seal. She's startled as a clone pokes her in the forehead, offering her a strip of leather to bite down on. She takes it in her mouth, suddenly very aware that the kid was very serious about what he just said. Well shit. First removing Jiraiya's containment seal, Naruto begins to work on the curse seal itself by setting aside his sealing ink and brush and beginning to feed chakra into his own seal he had made. Thanks to the practice he had with Tayuya, the first few sections were pretty easy. The nature chakra converter was first to go, followed by chakra storage and loyalty seals. Those were the easy ones. Next came the enzyme storage and injection seal. That one physically had to burn itself out and away, drawing a small shudder from the woman while Naruto paused to begin to draw new layers of intricate seals in preparation for the last portion of the seal that needed to be removed. The shard of the seal holding Orochimaru's soul. On the fly he realized that if he destroyed this seal, Orochimaru might just hop to another target. On the fly, he decided to prevent that from happening. This is going to be the shitty part. Grit those teeth. Naruto lays his hands on her back, beginning to work his own chakra into the array to power it, knowing Orochimaru wouldn't go down without a fight. Which held true. Healthy blue chakra fought against sinister purple as Naruto's applied seal began to twist and move along the shuddering and shaking woman. Muffled screams left her mouth as she bit down hard on the leather in her mouth, and behind them Jiraiya noted that Iruka was visibly fighting himself from flying across the roof to do something. Something probably stupid, but it was torture for him to have to sit there and wait. Naruto however grinning as Orochimaru was quickly being beat down. Take that ya bastard. Kurama chuckled in his mind, your control has improved greatly since then. It really is no wonder you're having an easy time of this. It's too bad I can't tear him physically out here and beat the shit out of him again. Kurama grinned and exposed rows of vicious canine teeth. I think getting torn apart at the atomic level and then liquidated by explosive hellfire are more than enough, don't you think? For that monster. No. Seeing the seal nearly completely destroyed, Naruto grins and gives one final push, seal burning the last of itself away as deep purple chakra expelled from her body and coalesced in the air above her. Before their eyes the chakra condensed and shaped itself into a deep purple glass-looking shard that dropped onto the ground beside her. Grinning at the nearly black shard, Naruto reaches down to pick it up before sealing it into a small scroll, then sealing that scroll into another on his person physically for inspection later. At least the job was done, and all of them were alive. He gave thanks for that. Left panting and sweating a little, Naruto leans back with a groan and admires the wide empty expanse of Anko's back. Sure, she was panting heavily and drooling on the leather that had fallen from her mouth, but she was alive. And if Naruto wanted to guess, he was sure that that was most important to her. Anko would agree with his thoughts if she could read them, but now free to move, she turned her head to make eye contact with him again. I'm guessing we're done. Sure, the spot where her seal had been was on fire and she felt like she had just gone 3 rounds fighting again my guy. But she was very much alive. Yup. You're free and clear of that asshole for good. No more seal for you. Sorry I couldn't keep the good parts of the seal like I did for Tayuya. Yours was just an early version that was missing some stuff. If you want though, I'm sure I could build a new seal that does all of the cool stuff he's offered without the mental contamination and slavery. Anko shakes her head, tears falling as a nearly lifelong dream was suddenly realized. Thanks, Naruto. I think I'm good though. Looking further past him as Iruka smiled at her gently and made his way towards her, the older woman smiled brightly. I think I've had enough of seals placed on me, thank you very much. Standing and unsealing a healing cream, he handed it to Iruka and grinned. One of my clones will take you both upstairs where you can rest and Iruka can rub ya down with the healing cream. Super essential, helps your recovery. He knew the girls wouldn't mind Iruka and Anko hanging out with them for a couple days. Well, hopefully they wouldn't mind. Iruka can't help himself, reaching around and hugging his friend with all his might. Thank you, Naruto. This means so much. Touched and heart feeling very full at the moment, Naruto nods as Iruka pulls away after a minute of contact. I know. It's okay. Now go and take your girl upstairs. The walls are pretty thick, just so ya know. Anko leers at Iruka as he blushes but makes to pick her weak form off of the floor. Are they now? Iruka sweetie, wanna test that? You just had your seal removed, is now really the best time for that? Seeing the affronted look on her face, Iruka nods. Of course you think this is the best time. One of the clones came forward and grabbed them both by the shoulder. Traumatize me later, come on. Flashing away while Anko starts giggling, Naruto heaves a relieved sigh and turned to an astonished Jiraiya. So, what do ya think? I do good. Good. Kid, that was amazing. You really did put Orochimaru down, huh? Yeah. It was close though. Naruto remembers his stubborn refusal to use the Hiraishin properly or more of his skills all at once. Nearly dying, and the girls treated to the sight of him getting chewed up in order to be revived. Never again. I'm going to be leaving to train with the toads soon. Taking the mental change with ease, Jiraiya nods as Naruto walks around his desk to drop bonelessly into his chair while Jiraiya drops into a seat opposite him. I'll have to pop in from time to time then. Maybe I can offer you some advice and pointers. Plus, it'll be good to catch up. Anything would be appreciated and catching up would be nice. Though I'm looking to blitz through this and return home quickly. I don't want to be away from Azushio longer than I need to be. The older man nods sagely himself. I understand. You have more than yourself to worry about now and a lot more motivation. Jiraiya unseals a bottle of sake and a couple of glasses, setting everything down on the desk with a grin. Speaking of, have there been any new developments while I was away? It was too bad really that the kid wouldn't let him use them as inspiration. The books they could inspire. They'd be set for life. Filling a glass and handing it to Naruto, he fills his own. You're done well for yourself, brat. But you still have some way to go. Naruto nods, clinking glasses with the old pervert and sighing, I know. But I'm determined to keep moving forward. So much is happening all at once. I can't slow down now. Wanna clue me in? Jiraiya had been focused on Konoha for a while now. It'd be good to get caught up on the world around him again from an outside source. Naruto nods. Are you kidding? Let me bring you up to speed. Naruto could admit to himself that he had missed the old man, the absent godfather. He was still a little pissed off that Jiraiya hadn't been around when he should have been, but he would get around to beating the tar out of the old man later. He'd enjoy what time he had with the man who actually knew his parents in the meantime. He was sure to have plenty of stories for him. First off, the Mizukage. Total babe. I even got her in the bath with the rest of the girls, thought you might be a little interested in that. Laughing and slapping his knee, Jiraiya shakes his head at his godson's impressive luck. No kidding. Tell me all about her. This was a good life. Finally having some time with his godson. He had too many failures to count, but at least he was able to have this. Minato and Kushina would be proud of this kid. He knew that with no doubt in his heart. Naruko was having an odd time trying to figure herself out at the moment. Tired, content, spent and yet, energized. Happy. She was happy. Resting comfortably on her back in bed, she smiled briefly at the snoring Fu at her side. Just as naked as herself, the insect Biju container was cuddled into her side and hugging her tightly like she was a big teddy bear. Sex as a woman certainly was a different experience, nothing like what Naruto had a chance to feel. Idly Naruto returned to looking up into the rough wooden ceiling, mind quiet for once as a hand played with the other girl's hair. It had not tasted like mint ice cream, as some idle thought had brought up during the activities. But that was fine. She did learn that while she couldn't siphon off chakra like some kind of parasite, she could still ingest it. And fluids literally brimming with the stuff. Well, she was good for a few more days yet. She'd have to be careful not to mention that to Fu right away. Bubbly girl might try making food with the stuff and call it her love nectar or some other crazy nonsense. Giggling, Naruto shook her head and gave thanks to her friend, lover. Best friend. Who cared? Fu was Fu. Naruto didn't plan on leaving her side anytime soon, so she would just have to convince the girl to travel with her from now on. Screw this shitty village, what had they done for her anyway? Turning inward, her mindscape still such an empty place, but at least it wasn't the dank sewer that Naruto had to put up with. Floating in an abyss, Naruto continued to wonder about just what she was. While her memory was a hodgepodge of Naruto's, things were oddly missing. Not everything was there, and yet, there were some things she shouldn't know. Chakra sealing chains. Naruto had never used those, but she remembered using them somehow. What the hell was a Bijudama? And why did her mouth water at the thought of using one? Most frustrating was why did some part of her still feel like she should be able to convert chakra around her, but couldn't? All of it was so confusing, but Fu's words helped center her. Naruto was Naruto. It didn't matter how she had come to be or who exactly had helped her finally exist. What mattered was what she did now, the memories she created today and every day going forward. Of course, her chakra was horribly unbalanced, just like Naruto's and Kurama's. Her chakra naturally settled majority on the yin side, her yang chakra minimal at best, enough for her to live, but the imbalance led her to lean more towards. Well, she did consider stabbing things as a first and very valid solution to most of her problems. It was who she was, the polar opposite of Naruto himself. Granted, she was sure that with her out here, Naruto himself was probably acting out of character at this point. Probably sparing people and going back to the useless idiot he was back in Konoha. That brought a frown to her face. Was she his more murderous side? Those brief moments where he was more than happy to slice and dice his enemies apart. Shaking her head again and focusing on the warm body at her side, Naruto again reminded herself that she was herself. She was unique. Maybe, given some time, she would figure out how to fix her body permanently. Distracted and introspective as she was, her hearing was still sharp enough to hear metal scraping against wood far below them on the forest floor. Instantly on alert, she felt out and latched onto the two human chakra sources below them. So those idiots came back for more. Well, she had an easy way of dealing with judgmental assholes who didn't know when to quit. Carefully extracting herself from under Fu and substituting herself with a pillow which Fu latched onto, Naruto was uncaring of her nakedness as she rolled out of the window and soundlessly made her way into the night, wind wrapping around her to dampen any noise she might make. The night was very chill in this part of the world, and with a full moon it was easy to spot the two Taki ninja who were making some sort of carving into Fu's tree. Odd. What were they doing? Hurry up. Getting word out to that monster was hard enough. He needs to know where to find this bitch. Shut up, I'm trying to do this quietly so we don't wake the bug. Carving away in order to make a seal, they both missed Naruto lightly landing on the ground behind them without a sound. Nails sharpening into claws, Naruto considered her options. One of the guys was distracted and busy, while the other was watching on. Better disable him first then. Silent as the wraith she was, it was a second to grab hold of the taller man, one hand over his mouth while another wrapping around his waist. Instantly wrapping them both in wind and pulling him backwards, it was with a sharp jerk that she broke his neck. All of the noise generated was contained within their little bubble, and for that Naruto was grateful. Gently lowering him to the ground and watching his fearful eyes realize that while he wasn't dead yet, he certainly was paralyzed, she couldn't help the bloodthirsty grin that spread on her face. Releasing him to the dirt and putting a finger to her lips, she stood again and turned to his friend. "Aren't there?" Whispering still and unaware of what was going on behind him, the Taki nin stepped back to admire his work. The locator seal should start pulling in chakra and pinging that man soon enough. Now let's go before, a fist smashed him against the tree, stunning him and leaving him at the mercy of a clawed hand that plunged into his lower back. With a scream as he lost all feeling in his legs, he was tossed roughly into the dirt to be met with wide red eyes and a mouth with way too many teeth. WWWWWWHAT the hell? Gasping in pain and clawing his way backwards, he cursed his luck. So the monster girl from earlier hadn't left. You fucking monster. You can't do this. Where was his brother? Why wasn't the asshole keeping watch? Naruto shrugged, licking the blood off of her hands with a grin. I mean, I just did. There was another way to get chakra, wasn't there? Eating. Her form was a bit more fluid, not actually flesh and blood. She began to open her mouth wider, say, "You're gonna help me spend more time with Airhead-chan. I wonder what you taste like. You won't get away with this. Taki will wonder where we went. They'll blame her. You know they will." Wider still, more teeth. Naruto's eyes were full of malice. You want me to be a monster, don't you? Why would a monster care about the worries of humans? What the hell was she? Why were there so many teeth and it was so dark, and why was her chest beginning to open? Wah, no, stay away. Screams sealed within a dome of wind chakra. He was silenced as a gaping maw closed down around his head. Not even a meter away, his partner watched helplessly as his friend was devoured by that thing. That wasn't a human. Wasn't some shit luck demon container. No, whatever that was, it was a true demon itself. DDD. Barely able to move his mouth, and vision dimming, the last thing he knew were twin glowing red orbs staring down at him. Yeah, this works out just fine. I'll protect Airhead-chan from anyone and everyone. And then there was visceral crunching as a body was ripped and chewed apart, no screams to fill the night. Hours later, as the sun begins to filter through the open window of Fuu's home, the lady of the house stretches and moans from her spot in bed. Mind still slightly foggy and taking a minute to wonder why she was waking up naked, with a start she shot up and took stock of her situation. Where was Naruto? Did she dispel in the middle of the night? Did she leave? Looking around frantically, she spied the girl in question flitting about the kitchen, cooking what smelled like pancakes while a plate of eggs was already on the counter. Having dressed in a pair of Fuu's white biker shorts and pulled her hair into a ponytail to keep free of the food, Naruto sees her up and offers her a calming smile. Hey there, sleepyhead, you sleep well. I hope you're hungry. Relaxing and releasing a breath she didn't realize she was holding, Fuu smiles back to her, good morning, and yeah, I slept like the dead. Someone wore me out. Giggling as Naruto shook her head and turned off the burner. A new pancake was flipped onto a waiting stack. Watching Naruto walk her way, she grinned mischievously and pulled the surprised girl back into bed. Boo! I wouldn't mind a repeat. Last night had been wonderful. No reason not to experience it again, and often. Naruto chuckled and shook her head, you're so spoiled. A soft kiss landed on her lips, but that's the cute part of you, Fu-chan. Fu was beginning to trail kisses down her collar, the food is going to get cold. Naruto didn't really care. She was still technically full. Those assholes had given her at least a few weeks' worth of chakra if she didn't do anything crazy. That was enough. We can reheat it later. Giggles filtered through the window, followed soon by soft moans. Down below them at the base of the tree was a seal with 5 claw marks running through it. Weak green chakra still filtered from it, but not much else. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.